The ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives is investigating the alleged loss of over $2.4 billion in revenue from the illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil in 2015. The committee has expressed its disappointment that the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, are not cooperating with them despite several attempts to correspond with them. The chairman of the committee, Mark Bila, has, however, issued a final notice to the concerned parties to appear before the committee with the necessary documents and information to aid in its investigation. Bila said that the committee and the House of Representatives will use their legislative powers to compel the parties to make an appearance should they fail to cooperate. Take a look.
Of the committee, we have not been getting the cooperation from the Ministry of Finance and the Attorney General's office with regards to salient issues that this committee is investigating. We have seen documentation from the Accountant General's office that shows that the Honorable Minister of Finance approved the payment of significant, substantial amounts of money to so-called whistleblowers, where details of the monies recovered was not provided. We have had media reports by the federal government indicating that millions of dollars were recovered through whistleblower revelations on behalf of the country, but we as a parliament have not seen where those monies were routed through the constitutional appropriation process before they were expended. The Constitution is very clear about the receipt and expenditure of Nigeria's money.
That was that. But relating to the specific issue of the 48 million barrels of crude oil stolen, that is a committee was set up, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, but I wasn't a member of that committee. That is my response, Mr. Chairman. And I was not privy to the sitting of the committee, and I was never invited to appear before the committee, and nothing was communicated. Nothing was communicated to me. So for that reason, my humble submission is that since I was not privy, I did not have insight into the activities of the committee, and for that reason, I'm unable to avail your committee with the report of that committee because I did not have answer to it.
And elsewhere, the ADAMAWA State Governor, Ahmadu Fintiri, and the Deputy Governor-elect, Professor Kaletapwa Farauta, have been issued their certificate of return. Both Fintiri and his deputy received their certificate at the INEC headquarters in Abuja after conclusion of the supplementary polls in the keenly contested election between Fintiri of the PDP and Aisha Dahiru Binani of the APC. While responding to questions from journalists, Fintiri expressed gratitude over the outcome and called for the prosecution of the embattled resident electoral commissioner of the state, Barrister Hudu Yunusa Ari. Here are his thoughts.
The victory means a lot of things for me. It means that our people believe in us. We won the election with them. And we're going to double our effort, supported by my able deputy, the professor, and the former vice chancellor, to see that we continue on the right trajectory that we have started in the state, giving our people excellent infrastructure, giving our people human and capital development, giving our people all the good things that they will need to make them happy.
What do you want to happen to Hudu, the man behind the source?
Hudu should be prosecuted. And I believe I'm the right person to prosecute him because he committed the offense in Adamawa. And I'm sure I'm going to prosecute him, along with the security chiefs that committed those offenses with him, because they ought to have been the one to protect democracy. But if the police and the security agencies will be the one to connive with INEC officials to scuttle our democracy, I think is unfortunate. But the wrong must be corrected, and it must be corrected with all of us. The military yesterday had to be the one to protect our democracy. I think it's unfortunate. But anyway, it is over. What is expected has been done, and democracy has been deepened. Everybody is happy. The only thing I would say is I celebrate Nigerians who stood by us, who stood by the truth, who stood for democracy, including those abroad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best.
Hello viewers, this is Daily Politics and I'm your host, Hamza Idris. Although the dust is yet to settle from the conduct of the 2023 general election, some believe that the exercise will have taken a different turn if certain elements were considered before and during the poll. For instance, several civil society groups had expressed reservations on the nomination of some national commissioners by President Muhammadu Buhari, citing compromise and partisanship as some of their reasons. Tonight on the program, we are joined by ADAMAWA Nwagu. He is the chairman, Partners for Electoral Reforms, and will be speaking on some of these issues that we've raised tonight. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
We're happy having you.
To be here again.
Yes. Because we'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, the conversation commences. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. Let me start with the House of Representatives Committee investigating the 2.4 billion naira illegal funds from 48 million barrels of crude oil. This was in 2015. Still calling on the Attorney General to go and give his own side of the story, Minister of Finance to go and give her own side of the story, but they are reluctant. Why do you think these people are reluctant?
First is the way the National Assembly itself has positioned itself.
Okay.
It has a reputation garbage that it carries.
The National Assembly?
Yes, in terms of probes. When you remember the Farouk Lawal scenario, when you remember the hubris between the former chairman on appropriation, who is now a House of Rep-elect from Kano, Jubrin, Honorable Jubrin, between the National Assembly and that inglorious relationship that the National Assembly and the executive, especially in the area of oversight. Hamza, the point has been made that the reason the cows respect the herdsman is because the herdsman does not eat what the cow eats. As soon as the cow sees the herdsman eating what it eats, it will no longer respect it. It can't command it to go anywhere.
Yeah, this video is quite interesting.
It captures my understanding of the kind of...
So it's like there is contempt between those in the executive and the legislature.
Yes, and that has to do with the beggarly nature of the members of the National Assembly in terms of lobbying for contracts, lobbying for, and in many cases they have had to have relationships that are not very pure.
So they believe that.
They
look at the legislators with contempt of sort, and they believe that nothing will happen.
There is arrogance because it's no be you.
You ask for contract from me. When you were traveling abroad, time you came to me to put the bill.
Look, this scenario is one.
Really sad.
So I wish that the National Assembly can understand that it is Nigeria's foremost anti-corruption agency. That sacred responsibility of oversight, of representation, of lawmaking And the citizens themselves will not put the burden, so much burden that they put on the National Assembly to play the role of the executive.
Yeah.
If you don't play that role, you will not be re-elected.
You see, in our newsroom, sometimes when we have these reports, you see our superiors saying, okay, put it inside for the sake of reporting. Unlike 20, 15 years ago, or during the First Republic, when a report from a committee probing something will make the headlines.
It's not only a report. What the military did to our psyche is really, really irreparable. You couldn't steal money in public service
and go away with it.
You couldn't, because of the office of the auditor. If you worked in the civil service, you would know that letters go from up, come down, and then now go back to the audit.
Yes.
Now the military ambushed those processes.
They have decapitated the audit
and decapitated it.
Yeah.
So those who took over from the military have continued to behave like them in terms of their attitude to public.
And audit queries are not even taken
that's
seriously.
What I'm saying. So reports, the accountant general is in prison or is being tried. The auditor general is in. So where do you go to?
Oh my God! Those who are supposed to be custodians of this common patrimony, they are also enmeshed.
So so you have a very difficult conversation that you want us to have here.
Yeah.
And if we continue,
we'll take the whole time. But do you think something will come out of it? Because this probe is for 2015. And I know that even last year they said they have, even this year they have stolen.
The reason why people do not want to appear is, in many cases, the National Assembly is involved. The hard
nothing will come out of it.
No, not that. Even the people setting up the probe, you need to first understand whether there is an altruism, whether it's an altruistic reason for which they are setting up the probe, or it is about settle us.
So may God rescue us. Now, Fintiri, he was at INEC headquarters today, and he received his certificate alongside his deputy. What a torturous journey. What is your take?
There is nothing torturous about it. It is simply what I have referred to a situation in which we complicate the simple.
We complicate the simple.
And then simplify what is complicated.
How do you mean? How do you mean?
Now, what is in this process is very clear.
You mean the process of the election in Adamawa, for instance?
Yes.
Initial.
It is simply a correction of what didn't go well. Supplementary election is a corrective mechanism. That some things didn't go well, we have to stop this thing and conclude it at a certain point in time. And then what it means is that what was already done has not been thrown away. It is warehoused.
Yes.
So we then complete the remaining of what we have to do.
Without prejudice to...
We then bring out
what we
warehoused, bring the conclusion and match them together.
But it became problematic.
It became problematic because of the desperation and corruption.
Of who?
Of the Hutu, the resident, the resident electoral commissioner, with whom we have, given a red flag during the appointment.
Are you referring to the November nomination?
Yes.
19
resident electoral commissioner.
He was among the one who flagged.
He came from Bauchi.
Yes.
And we were pursuing.
Do you know something about him?
Yes.
What is it about him?
There were issues that he had when he was in public service in the place, and we approached the relevant authorities to see whether we can lay our hand on those documents. The document disappeared. And he simply have manifested. What were those reasons that we gave? We gave first, there were some of them who had partisan inclination. There are some of them who had conflict of interest issues. They were related with people who were in, political offices. We gave the issue of inexperience.
Among some of
now, what was it that played out in ADAMAWA? I have just told you the process. He simply didn't know what to do.
Is it that he's a barrister?
What does that mean? And Hamza, that is the problem that we have had with elections. We have always given the impression that the election is an all-comers affair.
And it's not.
No, that everybody
can just go.
But
we were told in the university that whether you read history, mathematics, or physics, once you have a degree, meaning you have the minimum requirement to work anywhere. And that is why we have some people who read history in banks and all that.
So with your level of experience in journalism, if I read agriculture and I have no training whatsoever in media and journalism, you put me to read news, to come and anchor this program.
Yeah, of course.
That's what you are saying now. That's the same thing you are saying. Listen, people make a career in election administration.
Okay.
They get employed in a place called INEC. Some of them, very educated, they rise to the position of director cadre. And then you go and appoint the manager of a hotel to become...
Who is manager of a hotel in this
I said
is there anyone among them who served as a manager of a hotel?
Just leave it like that. Somebody,
I want to know, because
somebody whose background
is to clear, is actually to correct the question I asked earlier.
I said, it's now your job to go and investigate. I have given you a lead. I said, you invite somebody, for instance,
yes,
who is a manager of a hotel,
yes,
or you invite the sister of a vice chairman of a political party.
Anyway, well, I'm aware. Okay, fine.
I don't listen. Chronism and patronage, yeah, is what you used in the November nominations. You tried it with Arum. What was her name?
And that was what I was trying to say earlier. Yeah.
Yes, you tried it with this woman, Onochie. Yeah. It was resisted. And then, if you remember that in November 2015, when Professor Mahmoud came, Mahmoud brought in more than 10 people into INEC who had civil society background. And there was
that a fair move from his end?
No, what I'm saying is that there were people who, Professor Egu, for instance, a professor of political science, one who has been governance lead for UNDP and the rest of them, Oboy Fanga, who was in Action Aid, Festus Okoye, who had Human Rights Monitor in Kaduna. Do you understand? Who have been in the circle of
activism and election monitoring,
of observation, were brought into INEC. Folks like Mike Guinea, we are also inherited, and Professor Mahmoud held on to the legacy and structures that Professor Jega left in INEC. By this last nomination, the hawks within the ruling party elbowed out most of those people and brought in people who were clearly had no understanding, not just of partisan. What played in ADAMAWA, Hamza, is inexperience and mischief. Simple. Yeah. There is no.
So it's not about partisanship, but competences.
It may not necessarily
be deficit of competence.
Because even if you wanted to help somebody and you understand the process, you will be patient.
Not desperate.
The patience will have been to bring out what was warehoused, bring out what was collected from the field after the supplementary. There are relevant forms that are not the same forms that you use for the main election. Those forms are now from EC 8B, C, D, and E, where you fill in all of those things.
The figures.
And then you bring them together and they are computed in the presence of party agents who will sign the results. Security agents will sign the results. This man,
Hudu,
in desperation.
Was he naive?
I said I thought he knew that what he did cannot stand, because party agents did not sign anything.
I don't think if he was there with any paper.
No, he didn't come with any paper. He just stood up like that. So if
he made the declaration that Binani is the winner.
So as if he didn't know that first he has no power. The person, the returning officer, is a appointee of the commission. Every returning officer's letter of engagement is signed by the national chairman of INEC.
And unless otherwise countersigned by the national chairman, nobody can take that power.
So, because the chairman is the chief electoral officer, returning officer of the federation.
Yeah.
The chairman and members of the national the National Commission are sworn in by the president.
Yeah.
Resident electoral commissioners are sworn in by the INEC chairman. The National Council of State plays a role in the appointment of the chairman and the members of the National Commission.
Yeah.
Those people have no input in the appointment of a resident electoral commissioner. He knows this. So when I say it's mischief,
so you see what he did as outright mischief.
Incompetence.
Wow. Culmination of many factors there.
And I'm sure if we prove further corruption.
All right. The topic of discussion today is the recruitment process, of RECs and national commissioners. And we brought you from Partners for Electoral Reforms. Do we have the ideal in Nigeria? Why am I saying this? These RECs, the names were just handed over to the national chairman, right? After nomination by the president. Is that the ideal situation?
First is that they go to the National Assembly.
Yeah.
So the president, for the members of the commission, 13 of them, like I said, the president nominates them with the consent or advice from the National Council of State. And then they are now sent to the National Assembly.
Yeah, for screening.
The National Council of State can advise the president to reject a nominee.
Okay.
And we have seen that in one that was rejected at the National Population, a woman that was rejected at the National Population Commission.
Yeah.
When it goes to the National Assembly has responsibility to screen, and and then clear for appointment by the president. If they are cleared by 2/3 or whatever of the National Assembly, they get cleared. In the particular cases that you talk about, civil society organizations petitioned the National Assembly with evidence. We were told that, your petition did not come with affidavits.
From the National Assembly.
I'm quoting the chairman of the Senate committee.
That the petition did not go with...
That we didn't bring it with an affidavit. It didn't matter if we had shown dates when a particular nominee contested the election under a political party.
Simply because there is no affidavit. So they now use technicalities to clear
them. To clear them. That's what happened.
What should be the ideal situation?
Secret. Well, Hamza, what is worrying is that the political parties, except for PDP, the opposition political party, made a lame statement Lame statement, very lame.
Despite obvious facts
Yes,
for them
they've outsourced opposition to civil society.
How do you mean?
Because that would have been the responsibility of the opposition political parties within the National Assembly to reject them and make a public show of it.
But they were lame duck.
One of them issued a statement, and all that. They've outsourced the responsibility of opposition. And that is part of the conversation about reform. Political parties are vehicles for vote catching and not instruments for deepening democratic values in the country. Because it's about winning election, nothing more. Government in power has policies. Nobody challenges them. They are not taken to court on account of their policy.
They allow the media and civil society.
Yes, the media and civil society is Nigeria's opposition.
All the opposition parties, we have 18 political parties.
No, Hamza, you people are not talking. You are not talking. Because you are the one to talk. The idea of opposition is to hold government, put the government's leg on the fire.
So what I'm saying is, of course, names are nominated by the president. But the president will actually rely on some people.
The president, that's what I'm telling you, that I just gave you an instance.
Yeah.
I said a nominee was a manager of a hotel.
We were told, because this is a frank talk, Ezenwa, that nominee you are referring to, if you don't want to say, maybe I will say, then you carry on from there, that he has a relationship with the Attorney General of the Federation.
Absolutely.
Another guest that we brought here, he said the same nominee has relationship with Governor Ganduje of Kano, and he was the one posted to Sokoto.
All of them the governors hijacked the 2020 nomination. The governor in Imo.
Yeah, he had this lady, I have her name here.
Yes. The governor in Imo.
Yeah, Professor Sylvia Agu, right?
Yes.
In Imo.
In Imo. What they did was exchange. You give me this one, you take this one.
Even though you are not the only person who said this, but we still leave it within the prism of allegation.
No, that's why I'm just telling you that take this one, see, until we start having hard conversations. It was not as if governors were not playing roles in appointment, but they had the good sense to look for competent, experienced people from their states.
So that we can get it right.
To do at least, is this man we are talking about, is he not ashamed of Udu? Doesn't he feel any sense of shame if he had anything to do with the appointment of a person like that? And when we are calling for prosecution, who will do this prosecution? Because if you look at the configuration, people who had stake in even making the... So what did they do from Imo? What did they do from Imo? The CVI we are talking about went and did a petition to the police and went and took the tape of the interview of Samson Itodo in channels and wrote a petition to the AG and then filed the defamation case in Imo.
And she was protected.
Do you understand? So this is not hearsay.
Yes, I will stop you here. In the interim, we will go on a break, and when we come back, the conversation will continue. Viewers, please don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have Ezewa Nwogu, who is the chairman, Partners for Electoral Reforms, in the studio. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, we mentioned some names. For instance, Dr. Nura Ali, who was removed from Sokoto during the election. We also mentioned Professor Sylvia Agu from Imo State, and then Nuhu in Adamawa.
In the course of this election, INEC suspended, for the first time, suspended 2 resident electoral commissioners.
Yeah.
One in Abia.
Yes.
You can't tell the story of what led to his suspension on air.
Please tell us.
No, it's so demeaning.
Because people are already calling for prosecution.
No, that's what I'm telling you. The man was with a woman in a hotel in Umuahia.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly.
Wow.
Please, this allegedly.
This is our protection in the media.
Protect yourself allegedly.
Yes.
He took the police and the DSS to find him on election day. By 11 o'clock, he had not deployed.
Deliberately, to sabotage the process.
When they got to the hotel, they knocked the door. He said he's praying.
Oh, God. So almost all among the 19 who are pious among the 19.
No, there are what do you call them? There are very quality folks too. Many of the Rex, the ones who were returned, Professor Iguo, Bofanga, many of them are of their what do you call
integrity? They have integrity.
Yes. And their work speaks for it. Go to the states where they are, you won't find.
You don't have problems.
You don't find this.
But who should be REC? Let me put it mildly, so that our viewers will understand.
The Constitution has already given qualification.
Okay.
For who can hold public office in Nigeria. The person must be somebody of proven integrity. He's already there. It's a constitutionally determined thing.
Okay, now instead of these nominations for political expediency, do you think the Constitution should be changed to now say for you to be REC or National Commissioner, you should, because you can't just be permanent secretary overnight, right?
There are certain, we've gone through some things.
Okay.
The resident electoral commissioners are not what we started with. We had directors of INEC organizing elections in states.
At a time?
At a time.
Should we go back to that?
No, because there were also issues for which we don't solve a problem by outsourcing it always. And that's the challenge that we have. Professor Jega came in and felt that the integrity quotient within INEC was very low. And rather than confronting it, he quickly found a new vehicle to circumvent the challenge that he confronted within INEC.
Which he saw.
And then he brought in vice chancellors and academics to become returning officers.
So he outsourced them,
He outsourced that. That itself has raised certain challenges within the career people. You know, we need to have that conversation after this.
So should be the way forward. Maybe you as a reformer, you know?
The way forward will be, first and foremost, is multifaceted. We must begin to invest a lot in the political party system of our country. We need to have political parties that are not very far away from reform conversations and issues.
Okay, not just political parties that are out there to win election.
The People's Democratic Party, when it started, had a PDI. People's Democratic Institute. The People's Democratic Institute was a center where careerists, politicians will go for training. They killed it. It was modeled after the action group, the parties of the First Republic, that had career cadres. You couldn't be a NEPU cadre without going to the ideological school of NEPU. You could not be a member of the action group without being, so they have cadres. Today, the fluidity of movement from one political party or the other
is unprecedented.
Is unprecedented to the point where somebody will buy form for presidency in a political party, attend screening, and then leave that political party and become presidential candidate of another political party.
Are you referring to Peter Obi?
Yes, within the space of 2 weeks.
And some took him to court that he was not in the register, which is part of the Electoral Act.
No, there is even no feeling. The country is not feeling anything about those kind of behavior. In fact, we canonize such people. We are even to the dangerous point now where we are saying people are not voting parties.
But individuals.
That is not true. Because what that will mean is that we are going to hoist personality cults. Institutions, we want to hold institutions are responsible, not an individual. We are not contemplating the reign of an individual, of a benevolent dictator. The political parties are vehicles for ideation. That's number one reform component.
Okay.
That you can't be better than your election.
Not at all.
Or your election cannot be better than you.
It is actually symbiotic.
So if you have politicians who in 2023 are going to send talks to go and cut battle box to cause mayhem.
Is the lowest a country can.
No, in 2023, if you have politicians who that is what they are invested in, if you have a resident electoral commissioner who does not understand A from B in election management and administration, there are issues. So those are reform components. So what you need to do is first and foremost deal with your politics, your political party system. What are we going to do for people to remain in a political party to the point where they can understand what the manifesto of their political party is and not come with their own idea?
Yeah.
So if I'm voting Hamza, I know that Hamza represents certain values that are ingrained in an institution. So that's where to start.
Yeah.
Number two is to look perhaps at what Justice Uwais recommended.
Okay.
The Uwais recommendation about who should appoint who to. In some countries, examinations are written for such positions.
Oh, like maybe the national chairman of INEC,
yes,
the resident electoral commission. Okay.
The names of the people who have applied will be pasted in newspapers, will be advertised in newspapers. People who have anything against them can raise them.
So if you have petition, they give window that you can write petition that Mr. A, B, C, they have done A, B, C.
So and so and so. And then you can find a quasi group that is not a bureaucracy that can do that assignment and then finish with it and then disband. Don't make them an
like an ad hoc committee. It's not permanent.
Don't make them a permanent institution.
Like this,
because when we make this kind of recommendations,
like this service commission that we have,
all those things. Once you interventions in Nigeria become bureaucracy. Presidential committees never wind up. They become civil service. Presidential committee on small arms.
Yeah.
That is supposed to finish his work and close.
Yes.
Yeah. It will now rent an office, buy vehicles,
money,
and then start getting funded
subvention,
and all those crap. So we need to have a situation in which there can be a quick committee that has the business of, you can draw them from the DSS, from the judiciary, from such institutions, and even from moral and traditional institutions.
So that any other person can apply for that job. They shortlist, they call for...
Yes, and then they put it out there. There are different ways to do these things. You see, every country, there are things a country does not open for patronage and cronyism. The military, your leadership recruitment institutions should not be open to patronage and cronyism. It shouldn't be. You can do that elsewhere, but it shouldn't be in this place.
And so also the electoral...
That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't. we open everywhere for patronage. You want to join the army, you need a letter from member of the National Assembly, you need letter from judiciary judge, you need letter from Supreme Court, you need letter from, you want to work in NNPC, you need letter from, you want to work in FIRS, you need letter from, you want to work in EFCC, you need letter from, you want to work in ICPC. Which part of your institution do you insulate from cronyism and patronage?
Okay, we'll be speaking on INEC. They are not an island. They need the support of other institutions. Still citing ADAMAWA, for instance, this hoodoo of a man, he was accompanied by officials of the DSS, officials of the police, to do this ingenious act that he did. How can we also reform these sister agencies?
I have said, maybe on your platform, this is your platform, I have said that anywhere election fails, it is a failure of law enforcement. Once election fails, it is a failure of law enforcement. Now, the challenge of election is the attitude with which we engage it. We engage election from the point of view of, from the point of view of it's a bazaar.
Yeah.
It's a festival. In Bauchi State, a serving commissioner was on tape, national television, sharing money on election day, guided by policemen. Nobody, as we speak, has arrested that commissioner or the policeman who aided that breach of the law.
Yeah.
The one you saw, what we expected is that as soon as that tape was played, the Inspector General of Police should have invited those people to Abuja.
Yes, not to wait.
You don't have to wait for us to call, for the media, for Daily Trust, TV to make a call that the IG of police should. Those things they reduce us, they diminish us as a people. They diminish us.
Sadly.
So, a crime is being committed. The man was running foul of a section of the Electoral Act because he knew that he has no power to do what he did.
Yeah.
He knew he has no such power.
But he felt that he would go away with it.
He had protection of those who have responsibility to maintain law and order. The police in the Constitution is given power to enforce all laws. It's a constitutional duty. So this outsourcing that you see them do, that they have to be instructed,
is what is actually landing us in trouble.
But they know the law more than me and you, Hamza. They know the law. The police knows the law more than me and you.
Then how can we get it right? Who should do what now?
It is because people who should do what are not sanctioned when they derelict on that function. In the INEC Electoral Act 2022 as amended, Hutu should be prosecuted. It is not a give. It is
maybe not, today we should have seen him in court.
No, that's what I'm telling you. That's what the law says. If you derelict on your duty without any reasonable explanation, that there is a fine or a this that should happen. Even for presiding officers and policemen. Policemen swore to an oath of they signed a code of conduct.
Yeah.
Apart from the one they signed when they are joining the police, they also signed another one.
Procedure.
Yes, they signed another one to participate in election. When they breach that code of conduct, they also know that there is a sanction, but there is no such sanction. There is no so when they are watching me and you now, they say, we get a tag of troublemakers for nothing. In what way is what we are saying now troublemaking? That obey the law that you have written for yourself.
If anything, this 2023 election has shown that there is any sector that is not rotten, because it's very difficult to say that, okay, the security operatives, they are clean. INEC officials are clean.
It's not been like that
clean.
in 20.
Even the electorate.
It's not that this is not 2023 election. Let us not. Even in 2023 election, they did well.
Compared to
if you check a bit into the past, rerun election in Ekiti in 2014, who dead security people, bulldozed into hotel rooms, chased out observers, counted results. But where are you coming from?
Okay, so since we have agreed that we want to practice democracy, and this is actually a general election, but we have off-season, Kogi around the corner, Bayelsa around the corner, Imo around the corner. What do you think we should do to get it right? Now that we have identified...
We have done well in most of the off-seasons. The reason...
But why are we getting it wrong during main election?
Well, we didn't get it all wrong in the main election.
Yeah.
Even in this supplementary election.
Yes.
This one was a fly in the ointment. ADAMAWA was a fly in the ointment.
Wow.
Because
there is a woman?
No, not because there is a woman. The nature of the person who administered the ADAMAWA election, the resident electoral commissioner, has manifestly been seen to be compromised. This election took place in Sokoto. The infractions were insignificant in Sokoto, for instance.
But we were unable to even release the result of the Senate and House of Reps.
The most difficult elections are supplementary elections because politicians get more desperate.
Yeah.
The conditions are much worse. Yes, the stakes are higher. So you need to understand that. Okay? But what is important is that Sokoto, that you couldn't declare results in 11 House of Rep positions, 3 senatorial districts, were completed. By Sunday, all the results were out.
But why the delay in the first instance?
No,
we keep asking this.
That's what I'm telling you, that the challenge of computation, you have to bring what you have warehoused. That election went well. Let's not diminish it by what happened in ADAMAWA.
You were there, yeah.
What I'm saying is that in Kebbi, okay, you had excellent organization.
Even though it also dragged.
No, dragging is, see, this country, in Zamfara alone, there are places where you have to go with 7 hours
to reach. So going forward,
and polling units are in those hard to reach areas. Papers must go to the place. Ballot papers must go there. Even when development is not going there. Do you get what I'm saying?
So as a reformer now, going forward, since we are going to face more elections, just in 1 minute, who should do what?
INEC has lessons to learn from both the supplementary and the main election. And every election is an opportunity to improve on the last one.
Yeah.
So we can improve on that. Let us, as media and civil society, pay much more attention than we are doing to INEC. If you invite me here 10 times, 90% of your questions will be about INEC. And you will not...
Even though I have strong feeling that other stakeholders must also be on the same page.
You will not say anything about politicians because we over-respect them. And the reason...
So we should start talking about...
Yes, the reason is not far-fetched. We are patronage-driven people. So we don't talk about politicians because at the end of the day, we want to be special advisor media. We want to be special advisor something.
Even though I personally turned one off.
No. But I'm just telling many of our people, after elections, you understand, we don't confront issues because we have to be nice to see whether we can be appointed, whether we can... Because it's a patronage and cronyism-driven, platform. So we need to hold those institutions, not just INEC, accountable. We must bring the searchlight on the security agencies and their role in elections. We must bring the political parties, the politicians and their candidates. We need to bring them under a huge clear light and show them for who they really are for Nigerians. INEC does not do voter suppression. It is the politicians that suppress vote. INEC does not inflict violence on his own people. A national commissioner is hospitalized just because he went to supervise election in Adamawa State by politicians and their agents. Professor Zulu and their agents. So we need to come to that point where in discussing election, we bring everybody out. And put out the role that they have played. But one significant thing that has happened in this supplementary election is that we have seen clearly that the challenge is not the man in Zambezi Street in Maitama, Professor Mahmoud.
Yeah.
That the bigger challenge is the operators in the subnationals who mess up election and allow Mahmoud to carry the brunt.
Thank you very much. You hold your breath here, and to thank you very much for coming to the program.
I appreciate you, Hamza.
Viewers, we've been with Ezenwa Nwagu, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reforms, in the last 15 minutes. And we thank you for being with us. Join us tomorrow for another interesting edition. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.